Business owners, are you making the right decision when it comes to your vehicle? Should you purchase a car or should you lease a car? Did you know that financing a vehicle has great tax strategies? That is why I am going to break down for you whether you should be leasing or whether you should be buying and the proper considerations so that you don't end up overpaying tax by making the wrong decision. But before we jump in, I'm gonna need you to like, comment, and subscribe because we cannot afford to miss out on any wealth building information. Now, let's get after it. Tax deductions work differently as to whether you are leasing a vehicle or you are purchasing a vehicle. When you are leasing a vehicle, you get to write off the lease payments that you're paying on a monthly basis to have the car. When you are purchasing a vehicle, you get to capitalize and depreciate the vehicle over time. And when I say capitalize and depreciate, what I'm saying is that when you purchase a car, typically a car is written off over a 5-year period, meaning whatever the purchase price is, you're pretty much going to divide it by 5. There's some other little calculations, but for all intents and purposes, divide by 5, and that's pretty much going to give you your write-off every single year unless your vehicle qualifies for 179, which allows you to expense the vehicle out in the year that you purchase it based on code section 179. When you are thinking about your vehicle, you also need to consider whether you're going to take the standard mileage rate or whether you're going to take actual expenses. When you are leasing or buying, you can decide how you're going to write off your vehicle costs. If you are going to take the standard mileage rate, the standard mileage rate means that you're going to keep track of all of your business miles, and then you're going to multiply that by the actual mileage rate that the government gives us every single year. That means you're not going to also write off the lease payment. You're not going to also write off the insurance payment. It's either going to be that standard mileage rate, which applies to both a purchased vehicle and a lease vehicle, if you elect the standard mileage rate. On the flip side, if you elect actual expenses, then you get back to writing off the lease payment and the other expenses associated with the vehicle. On a purchase, you get back to writing off the depreciation and the other expenses related to your vehicle. Make sure you decide whether you're going to go actual expenses or standard mileage rate. And you need to kind of figure it out based on your monthly out-of-pocket costs versus how many miles you think you're going to be driving for business. When you are considering a vehicle purchase, one of the considerations is, do you want to own the vehicle and drive it until the wheels fall off? Ownership? Or do you want to have the flexibility of having the vehicle for a certain period of time and being able to get in a different vehicle? It kind of depends on where you are. Now, if you want that ownership where you can get that car, pay for it, and be done, you want to purchase your vehicle. And different people have different reasons. Me personally, I'm a lease girl because I like to get in a new car about every 2 to 3 years. But that's just because I like to drive real fast. And by the time that vehicle is done, I have driven the wheels off of it. So those are things that you actually need to consider whether you want to own it or have flexibility to jump into something different. Another consideration for your vehicle when you're thinking about leasing versus buying is the cash requirements. If you're going to buy a vehicle, are they requiring you to put down a certain amount for the down payment? where perhaps you can get into a lease and you can walk into a lease with maybe the first lease payment. So cash considerations is also a big deal when it comes to leasing versus buying. Maybe you don't have a ton of money to put down on a car. Maybe your credit's not that great, so you have to come down with a chunk of cash. Perhaps on a lease, they're going to let you drive off the lot with 1 or 2 payments. So cash consideration is very important in your decision making. When you're going to lease or purchase a vehicle, you got to think about insurance considerations. When you are leasing a vehicle, the insurance requirements are typically higher when you're on a leased vehicle because the actual dealer that you're leasing that car from wants to make certain that they are fully covered. So your insurance will be higher versus when you purchase a vehicle, the insurance is typically lower. In addition to that, if you are leasing under your business or purchasing under your business, your insurance is even going to be higher because now you have jumped from personal usage to commercial usage, and they're going to charge you more for having a commercial vehicle. So make sure that you are thinking it all the way through when you are considering purchasing or buying. You have to consider multiple things. You have to consider the tax implications, whether you're going to use standard deduction or whether you're going to use actual expenses, whether you're going to take lease payments or whether you're going to take depreciation. How far are you going to be driving? Because a lot of leases have a cap on mileage on a yearly basis. You got to consider cash flow, how much I have to put down to purchase a vehicle versus how much I have to put down to lease a vehicle. You have to look at insurance requirements. How much is it going to cost me to insure this vehicle versus how much is going to cost me under a lease or a purchase. These are all the things that you have to wrap your mind around. And when you do, you will make the best decision for you. And remember, when you are leasing or purchasing a vehicle, make sure you're doing it because you need the vehicle, and tax purposes are secondary on the list. Once you've made that decision, then you want to get the best tax write-off that you possibly can. Now that you know better, I want you to do better. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you let me know what vehicle that you're gonna go purchase in the comments.